Hi, I'm Tom, and in this video I'm going to be converting up a Praetor for my World Eaters Legion. At the time of recording this video, there are no Legion specific models available for the World Eaters, except for Karn and you could argue Endred Har, but I wanted a Terminator armored Praetor and I went with the Night Lords Praetor in Tarteros armor. The reason for the Tarteros armor is that the armor allows the wearer to still run, and the Rite of War that I'll be using for the upcoming event gives bonuses to running, which is a World Eater specific Rite of War called Berserker Assault, which gives bonuses to running, charging, and some leadership bonuses as well. I'm making a generic Praetor in Tarteros armor, as the event I'm going to do not allow special characters, and it's also nice to just have generic characters. The Night Lords Praetor was a good fit, as he has a lot of trophies on him that is also applicable for World Eaters in my opinion. There's not a lot of iconography, the shoulder pads are separate, and the chest piece should be easily toned down to a more generic looking thing. Also, he came with a nice big chain axe glaive thingy, but I will use that in another project and I have one in mind for it, just don't have time for it right now. He also comes with a Volkite, but I'm going to be switching that out as well. The loadout for my Praetor will be a Thunderhammer and a Combi Bolter. The Combi Bolter is there not to spend too much on shooting weapons, and that's what he comes with in the Tarteros armor configuration. So the Thunderhammer comes from the old Mark III tactical squad. You can see the hand is a little bit too small to fit on the Terminator arms. And the other basis for the Thunderhammer conversion will be the sword arm from the Tartarus squad. The heads are actually kinda nice, but I think I'm going to be doing an unhelmeted head. Maybe one with butcher's nails on it or an angry expression, like this one from the Templars kit from the Imperial Fists. I think it's a neat head, has a lot of emotion going on. Also went through my bits box to get more sort of trophies and chains and other sort of spiky bits. I found this one, I thought that would be perfect for a sort of iron halo, but upon closer examination, the Tartarus guide does not have an iron halo, only the Artificer / Power Armor version does. I've learned to check the equipment beforehand as I burnt myself in the past. I'm also going with the generic ornate shoulder pads from the Tartarus kit, as the other ones are sort of Legion specific. I could shave them down, but I had a couple spare, so should be good. So everything sort of planned out-ish. I went and scrubbed it all down, as it is Forgeworld resin, to get rid of the mold release. Off to the Thunderhammer weapon swap conversion. First of all, it's time to chop off the sword part. And the knife I used here is a little bit too dull. This goes way easier if you have a sharp knife. I just didn't have any spare blades at the time of recording. And I just adjust the bottom part of the sword. Try to chop off the Thunderhammer. Again, a little bit of a dull knife. Here's a preview of it. Of course I need to clean up the faces so that they're square. And at this point, I just take a 1mm drill bit, drill a little hole top and bottom of the hand, and the same for both ends of the Thunderhammer. And then use a little bit of paper clip to better pin it in place. So here are all the parts and the paper clips inserted. I'm gluing it up with 2 different glues just to try and make the bond a little stronger. Since it is plastic, I use plastic glue on the faces that will connect and a bit of super glue on the pin. I also made a second one for a member of the squad that he will be leading, which actually turned out a little bit better, and I did that beforehand. Typical, huh? So, time to get some of the iconography off of him. I was actually thinking of just making it completely bare, but as I was removing the bat texture and structure on these wings, it actually turned out to be nice and generic. The skull is fine, and I just shaped the outside of the bat wings to be more of a generic wing, like it was maybe once an Aquila kind of thing, or just a little bit of added armor. And since the head is made for power armor, I have to trim the bottom of the neck to make it sink into the armor. I think it turned out very nice. This particular head doesn't have butcher's nails in it, but once you put on the top of it, you can't tell if he had or not. I think it's starting to look pretty good already. This isn't a massive conversion anyway. Onto the base with him. And then for the bolter, I actually chopped off a bolter and wanted to put on the original hand, but there was no need for it. So I just took a normal Tartarus arm. I ended up picking a shooting pose, and he's looking towards it and screaming. I think that's pretty nice. The thing is, I can't figure out if I want to have him raise the hammer or lower the hammer. I think both look really good, and I asked both my girlfriend and my best friend for advice, and they both picked the raised hammer. I was also in doubt if I should pick the trophy rack top or a plain one. I kinda like the plain one more, but to make him stand out, the trophy rack is kinda nice. It would prevent me from having something like a grenade harness on him, but it's okay. The squad that he will be with will have one, plus he's wielding an Initiative 1 hammer, so it doesn't matter for him specifically. I think it looks pretty neat. Now it's time to put on some of those other bits. Here I'm thinking about extending the sort of chain that goes across his chest, just to give him more a dynamic feel and to add to the movement that the character appears to be doing. I'm also going to be adding a little bit of chain here, both to hide the seam and also to add to the movement. I need to shave off a little bit of the back of the chain to make it nice and flush. And another trophy here just to make him stand out. And I will put a little bit of a bend into it so it's not as static. Here we have two of them on, just the one on the hammer missing. So my hope is that he will look mighty impressive with all the trophies and make the characters he's fighting tremble as they realize they might be added to his armor post-battle. Here we have everything on it. I wrapped the chain on the thunder hammer as well. Not really a conversion part, but just a quick tip. I just used some old wine corks to quickly shape some stones, and that adds to the base. It's a simple basic technique that I use for mine. You don't have to do too much, just a couple of random cuts, and dry brushing it will take care of the rest. And you can either super glue this on, or like me, some PVA if I have the time for it. And here we have the model pre-priming. I think it turned out pretty good. I could maybe have magnetized the arms, that would have been the smart thing, but I wanted to try and lock it down and do some of these chains. I'm opting to not glue in the top of the armor with the trophy rack just yet, just so I can better paint the face and prime the insides of the armor. So that is why that is loose at this point. While I paint up this Praetor, I was actually going to do another lore video, but I started doing the additional research other than what I have in my brain, and it turned out that the research would take a lot longer than I wanted for this video. I just wanted to get it out so I can keep a steady stream of content going instead of having a huge backlog that demotivates me. So since I recorded me painting this guy, I thought I would talk about something else, and that is what he brings to the army list that I have created for this event, the theme, and the unit he will be leading. To set the scene, and if you're unfamiliar with World Eaters in the Age of Darkness, let's go over their Legion rule. It is one of the very simple rules for the Legions, which suits me fine because I'm going to this event probably with only one test game of World Eaters, if any at all. So, simple rule. Normally when you charge, you get +1 attack. World Eaters gets 2. You can normally negate the +1 attack if you do the hold the line reaction against a charging unit, but that does not negate the +1 attack for the World Eaters. So if you hold the line, you still get 1 attack. If you don't, you get 2. So with that said, let's look at some of the things that he brings to the table. Being a Praetor means you have the rule Master of the Legion. Master of the Legion allows you to pick a rite of war for your army. A rite of war is a specific template or strategy that your army uses, which can alter the force organization chart and give you special rules that will aid in that style. The one that I've chosen by having a Praetor is the rite of war for the World Eaters called Berserker Assault. The theme of this is sort of a precursor to their 40k style. And it says, in the aftermath of the betrayal at Istvan III, the World Eaters Legion under the savage Primarch Angron became ever more insular as a legion and uncontrollable on the battlefield, proving a double-edged sword even to their allies. The psychosurgery rife within the legion became even more widespread and extreme in its use, and the neophytes inducted with ever increasing pace into the World Eaters ranks to replace the fallen were cerebrally mutilated with the implants as a matter of course. All-out infantry assaults supported by fast-moving armor with the aim of immediately closing to bloody melee with the foe has always been a hallmark of the Legion and now became their goal. Carnage for its own sake, beyond any strategic objective to contrary. So with the stage set, this means that all units that are running get +2 inches to their run move, which is why this guy is in Tarteros armor, and the unit he will be leading is also in Tarteros armor. The only units I have that cannot run are my Red Butchers, as they are in Cataphracti Terminator armor, hence the transport. Likewise, when it comes to charging, you also get +2 inches to your charges, and we like that. We want to get into close combat as soon as possible. And to add to the theme of unstoppable berserkers, you also gain a leadership bonus of +1 when making pinning tests, up to a maximum of 10, of course. This just means that it's more difficult to suppress and pin them down. They're just gonna keep on running. Then there's a couple of things that I haven't done for this particular army list, but is definitely coming for my collection. And that is that it allows me to take Rampagers as troop choices, although not line, so they can't hold objectives. But you can fill up the troop slots with Rampagers anyway, or at least have access to more of them if you wanted to. Furthermore, it frees up the heavy support slots for stuff like transports or fire support by moving Predator squadrons into the fast attack slot. Or you could still have them in heavy support and just have loads of Predators. So those are the effects of the Rite of War. There are a couple of limitations, and some pretty big ones, I would say. If a World Eaters unit is within 12 inches of an enemy, I have to declare a charge. And I can't declare multi-charges, just charge the nearest thing, that is it. A smart player will be able to kite me around a little bit, but hopefully I'm throwing enough bodies at them that they can't quite kite it, and something will get in, and once they're locked there, hopefully the rest will get in too. The last limitation is that I cannot take any allied detachments. I wouldn't step onto a battlefield with these guys, either friend or foe, doesn't matter. Once those nails bite, you don't know what they're gonna do. So, as you might have briefly seen in the intro, I've painted up a squad for him, and I will get back to the character. I just want to set the stage with the guys that he'll be running with. I've gone for a 10-man Legion Tartarus Terminator squad. I could have done a command squad, but it would have been less bodies, and I just wanted more, because stuff is gonna get shut off the table before they get there, so I wanted numbers. And speaking of numbers, they're almost exclusively armed with lightning claws. So let's do a little bit of math here. Being a Terminator, you get 2 attacks. Their sergeant gets 3. We'll get back to him. All but 2 of them are armed with twin lightning claws. Being armed with twin lightning claws gives you 2 additional attacks instead of the 1 for an additional combat weapon. So that means we're up to 4 attacks per legionary. Then I hopefully charge something with them, which gives them another 2 attacks each. This is 6 attacks per guy with lightning claws. And the sergeant in the squad also has lightning claws, so that's 7 attacks for him. Add AP 3 with rerolls to wound and rending on 6s. So while they are only weapon skill 4, there should be enough attacks to do something, or at least make you think twice about engaging these guys. There is a single chain fist in there and a single thunderhammer just to be a threat, and with the additional attacks on the charge, they should be quite a threat to any vehicles or heavier units. Let's circle back to the Praetor. If you're unfamiliar with the Heresy or older editions of 40k, you can give the Warlord a little bit of flavor by choosing a Warlord trait for him. The Warlord trait that I've chosen for my commander is called the Butcher's Claws. And here's the little bit of flavor text that comes with it. Some among the children of Angron have gained a measure of control over the Butcher's nails, the implants that flood their minds with rage. Though they cannot end the torment imposed upon them, they can channel the rage, focus it onto a razor's edge, and turn it upon their foe as a weapon of such tempered fury that few can stand before them. what the rule says is that whenever I gain that +1 attack for charging as a World Eater, I also get +1 strength for this guy and the unit that he's with. And I can make another reaction in the assault phase. So all in all, this guy on the charge should have 5 attacks with a Thunder Hammer that's strength 9. I reckon that's gonna do some damage. And his squad mates will likewise be strength 5 Lightning Claws with rerolls. I do have a chaplain with a jump pack in my army. He doesn't necessarily have to go with the assault squad that I also have in my army. So if I feel like I need the extra punch, I can assign this guy to this squad as well and give them rerolls on the to hit roll as well. The potential of all these dice just makes me relive my orc days in 40k. It's glorious. And this is gonna be one of those armies. I'm not expected to play tactical with them. Well, a little bit by trying to box in things so they can't kite me, but I'm looking forward to just running at the enemy, seeing if I get there, and then rolling a buttload of dice and see if that wins me any games. I'm finishing this particular list for this event, and it's an excuse to get these guys on the table. If I have a test game or 2 beforehand, that would be great, but if not, I'll just learn to play them at the event. Studying the rules can only do so much. Right, I think that should probably be more than enough for this video. If you made it all the way here, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys in future videos. Until then, cheers.